Okay, the parts are all cleaned, ready to be reassembled. Those are the new idler wheels. Anyway, arms are cleaned. The upper one is going to get replaced. And see the next photo. You can see a little bit in that photo how this hole here is moved closer that way to the pivot. Anyway, so you probably won't be able to see this really, but it's lined up, and I don't know if we look really closely down there, kind of difficult to see, but you can kind of see how the silver one is moved the axis for the wheel back a little bit off of what this one was. Anyway, so now these gonna get put back together. They actually have these bearings, roller bearings. That's the top, this is the middle, and then the bottom one actually had this kind of style like a Belleville washer as a spring to keep these compressed. And another set of washers. Probably end up cleaning those a little bit more and putting some grease between those. Then this is the pivot shaft that would be in here. And then this guy was kind of tough to get out. That was pressed in through that hole at the bottom. And those are the sensors for the magnets on the idler arm there. Okay, I had to use a press to press the idler wheel onto the idler arm. I'm actually pressing the arm down into the wheel using a piece of wood to keep from marking up the arm. The needle thrust bearings are re-greased and arranged for installation onto the pivot shaft. There are some Belleville washers on one set that provides a spring compression for the wheel set when mounted. Here I'm just kind of doing a test mount, trying to get everything arranged. A little bit of light thread lock on the bolts that hold in the wheels to the arms. This part was actually probably the trickiest of the whole reinstallation. The two idler arms with the bearings stack in between the arms and the idler assembly frame there. They had to be compressed to allow the final set of the needle thrust bearings to be installed, and trying to find a good place to clamp and compress the idler arms against the frame was really tricky. You'll see at the end what the final what I finally ended up doing. I tried different clamps and finally had to use a particular clamp with a piece of wood. So this is the final clamp that worked. It was a little difficult to turn that small wooden handle to get enough clamping force to compress those Belleville washers, but eventually it worked, and was able to get the needle thrust bearings in there and the pin back installed. And I ended up having to use an Allen wrench to keep the hole in in the shaft aligned with the hole in the bracket. Now we're installing the hydraulic pistons back onto each arm. So there's the pivot shaft that goes in there, and I'm using some vice grips on the flat of the main shaft that comes out of the hydraulic piston, and that threads onto the pin that goes into the arm. Now it's ready for reassembly back in the machine after the rebuild.